got my laces tied. My trusty podcast by my side. If you wanna talk fun, it's the place to be. Yeah, it's the drop, D-R-O-P.
Hey, this is Thomas of Believe in the Run, and I'm here with Brendan Dunne from Complex, head of sneakers.
Yes, that's me.
And Sneakerhead.
Yes, exactly.
Which, you know, when I was a kid, that may have been an insult. Now that's like a moniker. That's
it's a
elevated state.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
We were just talking. So this is the first time we're in a Spotify studio.
Incredible accommodations.
Dude, is this not sick?
Did you grab some yogurt?
I didn't grab yogurt, but everything I saw in that fridge, because
it's all free, right?
Robbie,
I was looking at the fridge, like, is there going to be some way where they charge my Spotify account, or I'm going to see something show up, But no, I grabbed some chips. Probably not ideal for the podcast unless we want to go full ASMR.
I think anything goes because we're not used to such a professional environment.
I'm certainly not.
And I know people are here to hear about Brendan, but let's just give you a little rundown.
I thought they were just here to hear me eat chips.
Well, that's how we advertised it.
Okay. So, yeah. What is this? The brand is called Community Chips. Yeah, should we do the ad read for Community Chips now, or?
Yeah, do the ad read. But the great thing about Community Chips is they're free. So
yeah.
Definitely for the community.
While supplies last.
Yeah. So we are in the 4 World Trade Center building. Mm-hmm. We're on the 60-something floor now. We came in at the 62nd. Now we're way up.
Yeah, even higher, even more elevated, our status right now.
Did your ears pop?
No.
All right. Mine may have. And then when you come off the elevator, I mean, you see the Statue of Liberty, New York City.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
Breathtaking.
And then look at this spot.
This is, like I said, I'm not used to digs this nice.
I know there's so much room for all kinds of activities. We might want to do some.
What are we doing? Planking?
Demonstrations.
Let me know anything I need to. Any fitness I need to demonstrate. I feel like I want to be credible on this platform, so I don't know if I need to prove myself as like a real runner or somebody who
could you jog
belongs
in place
here.
For this whole thing?
If you want,
because that would work.
Yeah, just high knees for 90 minutes.
It is interesting because I always have thought of Complex as kind of like more lifestyle focus.
Totally.
And so when we actually met at Boston this year.
You were like, this guy doesn't know how to fucking run. You're like, there's no way this guy can run a marathon. You were looking at me across the table like this.
I said, that dude has a great head of lettuce.
That's one thing that's indisputable. Yeah.
It's a magnificent head of lettuce.
Yeah.
And
this is video or just audio?
Right now? Oh, it's video.
As they're consuming it. They can see the video, 4K.
Okay, that's the greatest thing. So one of the reasons we're here at Spotify is that now you can watch video on Spotify while you watch it.
And you eat your community chips.
You can just listen to it. We're going to throw this on YouTube. Be able to see it there. Everybody will get a good look at what's going on.
I mean, I can't imagine what type of spike in subscribers you get from that alone.
Yeah. You know what? Before we get to Complex, I did want to go back because we were talking about the free stuff.
Yeah.
And anytime I see something like that, you sat across from Robbie at dinner.
Right.
That guy loves a free setup. And the fact that there was an entire refrigerator with parfaits, San Pellegrinos.
Robbie's going to be mad you didn't bring him along.
You know, he'll come up here and do one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just for the fridge?
Yeah, just for the fridge. I think once I show a video of that fridge, no doubt Robbie's going to set up it. He'll start having weekly meetings here. All right, so let's get back to Complex. Mostly, I think about it as kind of like lifestyle. And I don't know why, but was there a print magazine?
Yes, back in the day, yeah.
Okay.
In its first iterations.
And now?
So we actually brought the print magazine back in the last year, so we do quarterly print magazines right now. But it was definitely a long period where we weren't publishing anymore.
See, and I think that's I kind of love that idea. It's like you don't have to do it monthly, but every once in a while. Like you guys have such good photos and content to be able to put it in something that, physical that you could sit on a couch or on a train.
Yeah. We're happy to be back with a tangible product.
That's cool. So with that, you've kind of gotten into running. Or have you always been into running?
I definitely haven't always been into running. It's been maybe the last 10 years or so that it's become part of my life and an increasingly bigger part of my life. But growing up, I definitely wasn't into running or wasn't inclined to do any sort of running. But it's a pretty big part of my life now.
See, it's weird because I was reading a little bit about you online, and I saw that you went to Oregon.
Right, University of Oregon.
And you even went up to Prees Rock.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Freshman year, I think it was like I was part of this thing called a freshman orientation group, or no, freshman interest group. That's what it was. And I remember going with that group and walking around campus a bit as classes were starting in the fall of 2008. It was that I started there, and yeah, seeing historical sites, including Prees Rock. Rest in peace.
And none of that being in Oregon didn't have you like running back then?
No, it didn't. It didn't inspire me. And even I'll mention too that where I was my freshman year, my dorm room was right across the street from the historic Hayward Field.
Yeah.
And I would hear them announcing the track meets, and it was literally a stone's throw.
And no interest.
I just wasn't into physical exercise or that types of activity. So no, I was in the environment for it for sure, but never struck me back then.
That's so odd. I also wasn't. I found running later in life, so I get it. But like that seems to be like the heartland of
Trackdown USA.
Yeah, exactly. Like you got the pizza place.
You Trackdown Pizza. It has to be mentioned. Yeah, I definitely ate the pizza, but didn't participate
Didn't do the
in
run.
any of the actual the track activities associated with it. Yeah.
All right, so you got into sneakers at what point at that time?
So I got into sneakers as a teenager, probably 14, 15. This is like early 2000s. Just researching them on the internet and figuring out that there were people who used sneakers to say something about their identity, or it was a hobby for them, or something more than just purely functional. It was lifestyle, it was culture. So that's where the sneaker thing started for me.
I think it's kind of a crossover. I was always into footwear, and I really got into it with skateboarding, and then kind of like moved into like basketball culture in the 90s. And
what were you wearing?
Found running. Oh, my first pair of over $100 shoes was the Jordan 4s, black with. I remember I begged my father for them.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it because up until then he used to complain about like $35 Converse All Stars. And
that must have been a tough threshold to get him over then.
It was, but I think guilt. I had been sent to boarding school, so I think that there was some guilt.
Oh, yeah, he had to make up for the trauma he'd inflicted upon you.
Exactly. But that's
and I'm sure the shoes did it. Like, that erased, and then you're equal.
I was on a high for a while. Like, that lasted a good 6 months of those. And I still had...
High because you were jumping higher with the Air Jordans, I have to assume.
I was on the basketball team, JV.
Yeah.
Wasn't that great, but I think I was wearing... It wasn't Air Force... What was the other one that was like a high top?
Like the Flight Line or Command Force or...
I think it was probably the Flight Line.
Yeah.
They were just white, really rigid, high top shoes. And I still managed to twist my ankle and be out. But yeah.
Derailed your career for good.
I wasn't that good at basketball. So it wasn't like the team suffered. It wasn't like went down that year.
Got it.
Yeah. But I can identify with the fact that you said that people identify themselves through their choice. It's almost like curating. I don't know. It was the way to curate and express who you are through your shoes, and it's one of those code things that when someone sees you, you know, and they know. Like I don't know dunks that well,
right?
So like your first SB dunks, I probably wouldn't have known what they were. But there's people that like know whether you're wearing a cool one or.
Yeah. Those differences and like you said, the codes of figuring it out, and it meant a lot more to us even back then because it was so much more subcultural, this idea of collecting sneakers, or that one dunk meant something different than another dunk, or that because the tongue was a little bit fatter, it was cooler and you knew it was harder to get. So it's funny because a lot of those things have dissolved as sneaker culture has matured and become more pop culture, more mainstream, but we still definitely turn our heads and try and figure out, okay, where did that person get those, or what might they share in common with me because we're wearing similar shoes?
Do you find yourself staring at people's feet first?
Yeah, for sure. Especially like on the train or when I'm just walking around in the city. I live here in New York, so on the weekends, like I'm always kind of just doing low-key ethnographic studies and trying to map things to different areas and what are the Swedish tourists wearing this season, things like that.
Gazelles, right?
Gazelles and the Veja sneakers.
Okay,
and yeah.
All right, so we've seen kind of like a peak with lifestyle shoes. I'd say like where there was this scarcity where I used to see a lot of people posting, I got them, or,
Yeah.
the
sneakers
Nike
app,
post.
yeah.
Yeah. And,
Are you a sneakers app user?
I use it for certain things.
Yeah.
But like, it's mostly like when Vaporflies were hard to get.
Sure. What a world. Vaporflies on the Nike sneakers app.
I know, it was nuts, but you signed up, you
Yeah.
waited, and you tried to get in there, and you got rejected. And
Yep.
yeah, so I felt the pain of being a sneaker collector without actually
You know my pain.
being, that wrapped up in it. But it seems like there's been this arc of like excitement and trying to like hunt things down.
Yeah.
And then you saw the lines outside. There's, for sneaker releases, all that stuff. As we've come in, and it seems like the market gets flooded with more and more, like there's so many choices.
Yeah.
It's not as hard to like grab certain shoes. Is it still that kind of like hunt for the perfect shoe?
Yeah, I will say, first of all, that I'm totally biased because what I do for work is predicated on there being some sort of a hunt. So, God damn it, I hope
Okay.
there's still a hunt because my job is to service that hunt and to tell people about it and to document it. But I do think that aside, in 2025, we're at a new moment or a new inflection point in sneaker collecting as a hobby, or if you want to go as far as to say sneaker culture, where there are a lot more outside moments and people. We've had this conversation at work lately about sneaker quests and brands incentivizing people more to show up to pop-up events or some type of scavenger hunt to get a shoe. And I think that has brought a little bit of that feeling back, because I know what you mean, where things got so saturated in the first half of this decade. But I think that there's more interesting things going on right now when it comes to the hunt and the chase of shoes. And I say that also like knowing full well that I have extreme privilege of being able to get most of these shoes if I wanted.
Yeah, you can make a call.
Right, but still, I might make the call, but at the same time, I'm also out there on the Saturday with the rest of the
Checking
people,
it out.
like investing my time in to document it, if not to participate in the same way.
All right, and the other thing that I've noticed with sneakers, and since I have an expert with me,
Yeah.
is this kind of like it's a retro
Yeah,
bring back. So it's like right now the ASICS shoes
Yes.
from the early 2000s are on fire.
all
kind
that
of stuff.
Y2K runners.
Yeah, and then you've got like New Balance classics like 990s and
Yep.
stuff like that, which I feel is a classic. You can't go wrong.
I'm with you.
At a certain point, we got to start making new stuff.
It's a tough battle for me because 1000% I agree with you. We got to make new stuff and like support the new stuff. And I really believe in that. And in the work that I do, I try to put a little bit more of a spotlight on the new stuff than maybe some of the other people in the space. But at the same time, I am also very guilty of enjoying the same shoes that I have enjoyed for the past 20 years. So it's hard for me to walk the walk consistently of like, I was concerted in my effort today to like wear a new pair of sneakers.
He's wearing the Pegasus Premium.
Yeah, debatably a running sneaker that I have. I've run in them a decent amount.
That one's one of the more controversial ones
Yeah.
for us. I actually did, like a lot of times when we get a shoe,
Yeah,
I won't even like weigh it or anything. I'll just take it out of the box,
Yeah.
go for a run so I can get a feel for it before I get some preconceived notions.
sure, nice.
And that was one that I went out and I was like, I'm enjoying running in this shoe. I did
Yeah.
12 miles and I came back. I was like, this is great. And I got panned for people saying I was running in an athleisure shoe.
I love to hear that because it's like that your audience, even though like our audience is obsessed with footwear and obsessed with sneakers, but your audience probably is, but in a different way, to where like for the people that consume the stuff that we do, the podcast, the Instagram videos, all the work that we put out, like this feels way more like a running sneaker to them than it does to your audience, which it's just an interesting line. But yeah, I feel the same way of like I've run in them. I've enjoyed running in them. I'm not going to race in them.
No, you've got shoes for that though.
Yeah.
So I totally derailed you.
No.
You were
I'm derailing you, and I
Okay.
apologize for that. So just cut me off whenever.
No, we were talking about. You said you wore these specific because we were talking about bringing new
Yes,
shoes,
yeah.
new silhouettes back in, and I think what we see in the past was a performance shoe.
Yep.
This might be our way of transitioning to performance shoe. Performance shoes, like even a Chuck Taylor, was a basketball shoe.
Yeah.
And now it's a fashion shoe. The 990 was a running shoe. Some people still run in them.
Stop.
It's the craziest thing.
Get a pair of Pegasus Premiums instead.
And then, all of them basically are trickling down from performance.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I feel a disconnect when someone tries to make
Yeah.
lifestyle shoe
Yeah.
when it didn't come from the performance side. I think there's like somewhat of a disconnect. And even the Veja shoe that you talk about, it's an old Stan Smith looking
Yeah.
silhouette. Like, how do you keep, like, do you think the shoes that we're looking at now that have no overlays and are just a single layer of mesh for running, will those become classics?
I am very particular with the word classic and try and be very sparing with my use of it. So I think not very many of them, but I enjoy the debate in this thing of like, does a sneaker need to be a piece of sports footwear? I think so, yes, even though 17 minutes ago I told you I was a person who didn't care about sports at all for a good chunk of my life. But I do think it's important that these things are functionally designed or have some functional benefit to them. Not that every shoe that becomes an eventual lifestyle classic needs to be a super shoe or an elite sports shoe at its debut, but I do believe in this thing of like begins as a sports shoe, transitions later on to a lifestyle shoe because it accomplished something in this realm of sports shoe. And people could definitely check the shoes that I wear and find holes in that theory because, again, I'm not going to pretend like
You don't live by a hard and fast rule.
Yeah, or like I wish I could, but like my principles do bend in some ways when it comes to like these lines I set around which sneakers I should be wearing. But I do believe in that, like, a sports shoe becoming a lifestyle shoe rather than somebody just designing a cool looking lifestyle shoe.
All right, so what's an example of a shoe that would break your rule?
What's a shoe that would break my rule? Well, it's hard because, again, so many of the shoes I wear are retro shoes that once were sports performance shoes that are now lifestyle shoes. What have I been wearing recently? I mean, even like I was going to say like a Mephisto Match, which is like a walking sneaker, is like something I enjoy to
That's
wear
designed
casually.
for performance.
Yeah, I guess it's
walking performance.
Some type of performance. What else do I have by my door right now? I have Jordans by my door. Those were once Jordan 4s actually. Those were once performance basketball shoes. There's definitely ways I bend those lines.
And we talk about two sports here: skateboarding, which has its own genre of shoes.
Yeah.
And it's even different from the time I skateboarded to when Robbie skateboarded.
Yeah.
He was wearing the big puffy DC style shoes. And
Nike Chodes, maybe?
Yeah, those things. And I was more into like the Vans. And
you didn't have a pair of Chodes?
Stuff. No, I did not.
Well, you missed out.
Yeah, I know. It was too late in my evolution. And then basketball, I felt like was the lifestyle for, most of the early 2000s all the way till recently, where I kind of feel like this tide is turning and running is becoming sort of a template for not just footwear, but apparel and everything.
Yeah.
Across the board. Are you kind of seeing your audience do a shift?
A little bit, but I think the running stuff has also always been there for our audience, even though I guess most of sneaker culture or more of sneaker culture derives from basketball footwear, because I think that basketball footwear was just more entrenched in those eras where sneaker culture was really growing up, I guess, like late 80s, early 90s.
Hip-hop and basketball and all that coming together.
For sure. Yeah. But it is interesting, like, how much more running there is just happening globally now of, like, how does that on a longer timeline influence sneaker culture, and does that, like, bring more running shoes into the sneaker culture lifestyle world? I would think so. I would hope so.
Yeah, I definitely see it. And here's the thing, you talk about performance going into lifestyle, and I don't understand how, like, if I was a designer at one of the shoe companies, I'm designing the shoe for two things. One, performance. So I have to make sure it does what I'm hoping it does.
Yeah.
But then the second life of that shoe is it's got to look like something you can transition away from when you're not in neon shorts or something like that. And I think that they're getting better.
Yeah.
And there's certain brands that I think are really starting to tune in on it.
Yeah.
But there's some that are still like you can't wear certain shoes after you're done running. It's
Yeah,
like,
there's something beautiful about that, though.
You like that?
I mean, again, maybe I'm being a hypocrite because maybe I'm not wearing those ugly shoes enough. But like, there's something cool and pure, I think, about just like, don't even worry about what it looks like. Like, if it looks uncool, whatever, as long as it helps you PR or reach the next peak or something like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. But at the same time, I'm talking about the general public now is buying running shoes for comfort.
For sure.
And so when you see, like, I get it sometimes when something looks funky,
Yeah.
but the person is intentionally trying
Yeah.
to look funky.
Yeah.
Like Mephisto's.
Sure.
You gotta go. You're going
Guilty
hard.
once again. I feel like Norda is almost in that zone of, and like I haven't bought a pair of Nordas yet, but like I want them, and I like that they are not that cool looking. Like sometimes I can convince myself they're kind of cool looking, but I just kind of want them for the flex of like,
I don't.
this is an expensive performance shoe.
That's the. It's actually funny. The bag I brought up here is a Norda bag.
Okay.
It's got that Dyneema stuff. But the Norda, like if you ask us,
Yeah.
we're like, oh,
Real
that's
runners,
a
go
great
ahead.
looking.
Go ahead.
That's a great looking running shoe. And I'm not saying real runners. You
Yeah.
did. I mean, you did pretty well. I know you didn't have the day you wanted in Boston,
Right.
but you ran pretty well on a hot day.
I tried my best.
Yeah. You did.
Well, did I try my best? I don't know. Do we ever really try our best? It's hard to know.
I mean, I think sometimes we try, and then if it's not going well, we're like, that's good enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that your day?
My day in Boston, 2025 Boston Marathon was, I was happy but not content. I adjusted the plan accordingly throughout, and I was still on track to PR at one point, but just fell apart in the end. And yeah, I mean,
Was it the classic Newton Hills that got you? Or?
Yes, I guess so. Okay, so like the background is that my marathon PR before that is New York City last year.
That's impressive. That's a tough course.
Yeah, but 3:29:52, and like it's also I felt like I had a little bit of a cheat code because I live here, and much of the course is stuff that I run on a weekly basis anyway. Like
That
I
is
run
nice.
Queensbridge every weekend, once if not twice.
All right.
And so my goal for Boston was 3:25, which is like a 7:49 pace throughout. And basically, do we want to get it? Do we
Yeah.
want to get into race strategy?
Yeah.
Okay,
let's do
okay.
it.
Because if this is boring, just tell me like
No,
stop, and
no.
we'll keep talking about my hair,
No,
or the
that's
chips,
fine.
or sneakers,
yeah,
or something.
we go all over the place.
Perfect. So the thing for Boston was I felt super prepared for the hills because I do a hill workout every Monday night here in New York. This dude Tony, pillar of the New York City running community, it's in Dumbo, Brooklyn Heights, and just hill repeats. I was like, if anything, I'm prepared for the hills, right? But the thing that messed me up was okay, actually, we should have said this asterisk at the top. I did not qualify for Boston. Like, you go there that weekend and everyone's like, oh, you qualify? How do you? I'm not fast enough to qualify for Boston. So let's just like clear that up.
Okay.
So I'm in the back with the charity group. It's like the Yellow Wave or something. And my goal is 3:25. And I know more or less how the first like 4 or 5 miles should go relative to
It's
elevation.
more crowded though than you think, isn't it?
Dude, that was the thing. And like it being crowded is a good thing, right? You want to run slow your first couple miles, of course. Everyone tells you that.
Yeah.
Everybody you talk to is like, just go out slow. And you're like, yeah, whatever. And then you go out faster than you should. But like, this is the one time I've actually gone out slower than I should because it's such a bottleneck and because you're running on a rural road.
It's a 2-lane road.
Yeah, it's not like New York where
And
you're on the Verrazano Bridge.
Yeah, and you probably got launched out with like 3,000 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, first mile, 8 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, not ideal. It's supposed to be like 8:15 or something, but whatever. I'll slowly make up for it. Next mile, 8 minutes and 30 seconds again because it's just so crowded and I can't reasonably run much faster than that. And I'm like, oh man. Third mile, same zone, And at that point, it starts to thin out, and I could break free a little bit and actually do some running. And basically, I messed up the strategy because I tried way too quickly to make up for that deficit. And so the next 10 miles, I probably put in averages of like 7:40. Again, please keep me honest and go look up my splits if you're listening
Check
or
Strava.
watching. Yeah, but so I messed up the strategy in that I didn't have a plan to account for what if those first miles are too slow? Because in fact they were.
That's the thing I think we get in our heads, and you see people weaving and stuff in the beginning and trying to maintain their pace. You've got 26 miles.
Yeah.
26 miles to make up that
Right.
time. And a lot of times your coach will tell you the race doesn't start until mile 20.
For sure.
And then you got a 10K, and of course your legs feel fresh.
Yeah.
And you can throw down.
Yeah. So the first 16 miles I felt really good, and I was checking my watch and checking the things I'd scroll in my arm on Sharpie, and I was like, oh, we're kind of there. We're kind of there. And then, yes, the hills kind of destroyed me.
And it got warm.
Yeah. Although the heat, I felt like wasn't affecting me that much. I didn't feel that bothered by it. But, yeah, by the time I got to the hills, I was like on 9-minute miles. And then even when I crested the last of them at Heartbreak Hill, I knew that the original plan was out the window, but I was like, oh, I can still PR this thing if I just put in like 8-minute miles through the end, but I couldn't. And I just I had like multiple 10-minute miles at the end, and it was just like probably the most pain I've ever been in running.
Really?
Yeah. And just, I don't think I've often had that feeling of just, I can't go any faster than this, especially at like 9-minute miles or 10-minute miles. And it was just, yeah. So we messed up a lot of things.
All right. So you're going, and you wore the Pro 4?
I wore the Adidas Adizero Pro Evo 1.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
That's a fun light sneaker.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it weird when you're in that zone where you're like, I can't get it past, 9-minute miles or whatever? Are you like, damn, these shoes should work better?
Whoa. These don't work as advertised. These are supposed to be propelling
These are
me.
trash.
Yeah. No, honestly, I try not to think too much about the footwear when I'm racing. Like when I'm actually in it, I feel like I do a good job of just like, that's not a concern of mine. I'm more thinking about time, and I feel like I'm trying to think back to New York. I wore New Balances for the Super Comp Elite, the official one, and I ever since I stopped, there was a long period where I was racing in like Vaporfly or Alpha Fly or whatever, and like I feel like those sneakers on your feet are way more like you're way more conscious about them. You feel them way more than you do
The mechanical part?
Yeah, like you can't really ignore them when they're on your feet,
And they're loud.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing for individual people, but the Pro Evo 1, the Adidas sneaker I wore for Boston, it was way more like I'm not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only time I think about it is if I have a really fast shoe on,
Yeah.
in an expensive shoe like that, and then somebody runs by me in a pair of like Brooks Ghosts, and they're dropping faster times, and you're like, I guess it's not the shoes.
Yeah, what's the point?
But it's still, the hunt for the shoe is similar in running now, and that's a shoe that's difficult for people to get a hold of, one, financially, but two, just even if you have the means, it's not exactly just walk into your local running store and grab a pair of Evo 1s or now Evo 2s. And, I look at how much time I spend thinking about running shoes.
Yeah.
As someone who comes from the other side of footwear and now is getting into shoes, are you starting to like curate, or are you just like,
when it comes to what I wear to run?
Yeah.
Honestly, embarrassingly, I don't care that much.
That's crazy.
And maybe I'm psycho for that, but like I'm kind of just wearing whatever the latest running shoe I have is. So like Adidas Evo SL. I think the Adidas Evo SL is a great running/training shoe, and like I wore those a lot in the past 6 months. But I'm not that. I'm way more obsessive about the sneakers that I wear for lifestyle purposes or for casual wear or sports style or however you want to, whatever however you want to phrase it.
I always get confused. I'm now just calling them lifestyle.
Works for me.
All right.
I care way more about that stuff than I do the actual performance shoes. And I know that, again, crucify me if you want, but I know
I'm not going to crucify. It's just a clarifying question. So clearly, like when you're putting together, I'm going out and this is how I'm going to look for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
You are concerned with like putting together like a look.
Yeah, I think so. How did I do?
You're fantastic. But when you go, I really do like that Gore-Tex jacket.
Thank you.
What print is on that?
This is, I think, I wish I could recall the exact history of it, but I'm going to do my best. It's one of the earliest like paintings or like renderings of human activity. It's some old like It's from the brand Sneakers and stuff. It's like a sneaker boutique, and one of my friends who used to work there designed it.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah.
So he's wearing it's like purple and dark. I don't know. Is that black? I guess
I told you
black.
I'm colorblind, so
Okay,
you got to handle the whole thing for me.
And I told you Kafuzi's also colorblind. He probably wouldn't be able to tell what color this jacket is either. But it's got a really cool print on it. It looks like a limited edition, so I'm guessing that would be a
Hopefully they can hear it.
difficult jacket to get a hold of. But it's raining here in New York, so good choice.
Thank you. Trying to stay dry.
So, but to get back to the running thing.
Yes.
So when you when you go out for a run, do you just throw on whatever sneaker, and do you care about like the fit you've got going?
I do care about the fit I've got going, and that like, okay, and let me know if it's different in your world, but like in our world, mixing brands is something that you don't want to do. So like if I see somebody with a pair of Adidas Sambas on and they have like a 3/4 cut sock with a Nike swoosh right above, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
When I'm running, I do think about that as well, but not as much. And that's like one of the things where like I have these more set rules in my non-running life. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like how much I care about how I look. No, I do care about how I look when I'm running, if that's the question.
I'm particular, and probably in our office, I'm the most particular about like if I'm wearing like a New Balance shoe, I can't wear the Asics Bandit sock with it.
Doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I'm just like, no, I'll find a different sock.
Yeah.
Or, now it's great. We have Swiftwick as a sponsor, so
Okay.
I just throw on Swiftwick and that covers it.
Every time, no matter what.
Yeah, but
I'm wearing them right now.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Hey, Mark, you're gonna have to send him a check.
And eating my chip, and eating my community chips. Yeah.
So I am particular about that, and also with the gear, like I won't wear mixed brands with the shorts. But today was special. I was coming up here and I like had a cream.
Today was special because we were set to talk.
Yeah, and I had my Puma Say Sky collab sweatshirt, which I don't know if you checked out the back. It's a pretty nice piece.
Okay.
And then I have my New Balance shoes that have a more athleisure lifestyle.
Are we running in these at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, these are fantastic.
Okay.
And then my Asics hat from Boston. So, but
You're all
I
over the
went
place.
more with color today.
I see it.
Than
I see it.
With
even though I'm colorblind,
red.
I can see it, and that is a testament to how hard you went.
I did. I went hard in the paint. For those of you watching. So it is important to me. But yeah, this is one of those shoes that I was talking about, and I'm wearing the Rebel V5. This is one of those shoes that I feel like it's doing that crossover.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
mentioned the Evo SL.
Yeah.
Again, I think that's a nice crossover sneaker. And the fact that you run in that and you're like, I just run in that, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
That is one of the best. Like if you're dropping in a run, that is one of the best running shoes. I think these Rebel V5s are one of the top running shoes this year. Now, to us, they run kind of like a budget price at $150.
Yeah.
Which I just bought my son a pair of Jordan Zions.
Okay.
Brand new from the Nike website. They got air bubble tech in it. They've got a crystal sole. They've got nice
every doohickey.
Premium leather. And they were $140 or something like that from the Nike website without any discount. Why is there such a disparity, you think, between basketball and lifestyle to running? Like, is it because people who are running maybe have more income to spend? Is you typically an older demographic?
I don't know. I guess I feel like there's been a creep in pricing in running sneakers in the past decade. I wish I had a graph to point to.
I can tell you when it happened.
Yeah, when did it happen?
Vaporfly.
Okay, I was gonna say that because I remember that moment, and I feel like that's that
what I love
threshold moment.
I don't know about your audience and what they're concerned about.
Yeah.
Our audience gets very vocal about price.
Good, yeah, as they should.
Yes, but I'm going to put a button there.
Okay. And prices are going up.
They all get mad, like when the Vaporfly came out. Oh, that's dumb. $200 cheater shoes, whatever. $250. We got a ton of comments on it.
Yeah.
But you couldn't buy them. Like people were trying to get a hold of them. So as much as our audience complains about price, same thing.
Everybody bought them.
Super Blast.
Yeah.
Came out. Not even a Super Trainer race day shoe. $200. You couldn't find them.
Yeah.
And so I do think we've done it to ourselves.
For sure. And we have a similar version of this, I feel like, in sneaker collecting where a new Jordan Retro might come out and we complain about the quality or we complain about certain things or certain aspects of the release, but we are still so trained to give these brands our money that we are still going to buy it. Yeah. Like we will so rarely abstain on principle, you know?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like the running shoe industry went real hard into sustainability for a little while. And then also, price and stuff. But, like, I know, like, people aren't going to stop buying the shoes. And there's the flip side of it, like the 990s. Mm-hmm. They became popular in the DMV area because they were $200.
Sure. That aspirational thing, that allure of the chunky price tag, for sure.
Yeah. So
I mean, I was talking about it with Norda earlier, right? I just want to have the trail running.
What size are you?
Don't worry about me. I'll appreciate it.
But yeah,
size 10.
There we go.
10, yeah.
The whatchamacallit. Yeah, I do think it's like a crazy thing though when I look at the price of lifestyle, and basketball is still a performance shoe and it's got all the tech in it. You can't tell me that those Zions are harder to make than maybe the premiums are a little tougher, but like the regular, even the Pegasus is close to that price.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a margin thing. I don't know if it's a thing of basketball business slowing down, so you want to make the prices more palatable, and when they feel like running is hot, they can charge more shoe. I don't know. This is just speculation.
All right, for your people that are reading complex stuff, is price an issue or is it scarcity that drives it?
Scarcity drives it more. I mean, it's the thing I was saying earlier where like price is an issue and we'll complain about it, but at the same time, like right now, as Nike's announced to its wholesalers and its retailers, prices are going to go up $2 to $10 due to economic conditions. You can derive from that what you will. We are still probably not going, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but like that's not going to stop. I know that's not going to stop us from buying the shoe. Like any given shoe that came out this year that I really wanted, yes, I would pay $10 more for it, and that's partly because we've been trained for so long to spend way more than that on the secondary market, and like the resale market for
like StockX,
the type of shoes that I enjoy is a mature thing at this point where like we're used to paying double retail if we really want the shoe, or we're used to seeing certain shoes in our head saying that's a $1,000 shoe, not because of any intrinsic value, but because of the cultural things attached to it and the artificial scarcity set by the brand. So we care about price, but it's not often that the price really dissuades us, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah. Well, I would guess. Like, is there any moment that you can recall where you went to an event or walked into a sneaker thing and you felt so confident in the pair of shoes that you had on, like the scarcity, the nuance, that you knew that people who knew. I think it's like watches or
for sure,
or bourbon. You know, like there's certain people who get so into that they know immediately. Has there been a time where you felt like Lord of the Ball?
Okay, so yeah, and I have a very appropriate answer, and I'm not just saying this because I'm with you. It's my answer regardless. But the setting that is most challenging for that for me is ComplexCon, which is a big festival we do every year. We used to do it in Long Beach. We do it in Las Vegas now. We do it in the fall, and it's basically the in-person version of everything we celebrate online through our channel. So there are big sneaker releases. There are panels with designers and rappers and athletes, and there are all these booths where you can buy things that you can only get there. And whenever I go to ComplexCon and whenever my coworkers are prepping for it and just the attendees in general, it's always this thing of like, what sneaker can you wear that will really make you stand apart? Because everybody's trying to do that.
Everybody's a stunner,
and
right?
Yeah, whatever is a limited or cool, and I'm putting these things in scare quotes, like sneaker in any given city, it just gets that much harder. Like that sneaker is not as cool in the specific area of ComplexCon because there are that many more people who have it, or that many more people who know about it, or paid resale for it, or whatever. So whenever I am prepping for ComplexCon, it's always like, okay, what is the shoe that I can bring that nobody else has? And this was maybe 2019, ComplexCon, Long Beach. I wore the Nike Vaporfly Elite.
Oh,
so the first one that was publicly released, the Flyknit version.
Yeah.
And it was, I think they did
like
this.
like kind of shiny purplish. Oh, you're colorblind, but
No, not the fly print. I think you're thinking of the purplish one is if we're talking about the same thing, the fly print one. But there was a Flyknit one that I think they released for the Chicago Marathon, and somebody like slid me an early link for it, and I think they only produced like 200 pairs or something like that, and not a remotely appropriate shoe to be wearing to walk a convention center floor all day. Very much one of these shoes where you should only be running in it. But I knew for certain that like
plates all day.
Yeah, not a good idea. But I knew that nobody else had this, and I knew that if I wore it, it was like, oh, he knows ball. And so sure enough, I wore it, and there were at least a couple people who were like, oh, okay, understood what I was trying to do. Was it appropriate? Was it a wise decision? I don't know, but it felt like what I had to do.
See, and I think people could misunderstand something like that as like vanity.
Yeah.
But it's more...
Totally fair.
But I think it comes down to more like there's like it's fun to have a secret coat on. And I think that's for what...
Secret coat or secret coat? Are you talking about my jacket again?
Yeah, the jacket again.
Yep.
No, a code, but like knowing that there's going to be a small group of people.
Yeah.
They're going to appreciate what you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's why we do this thing. Yeah.
And it's that little smile, that nod that you get that you're like, okay, it was worth it.
Yeah, or somebody has to ask, like, okay, what is that? They'll break down and be like, okay, actually, if you didn't know, only 200 pairs of these, et cetera, et cetera.
That's the kind of shoe, though, that got runners onto StockX. And that's how I knew that, like, price for certain people aren't going to matter. Like, when the Vaporfly and the Alphafly first came out and you couldn't get them, people were going to StockX, and I was having people DM me, and they're like, is this a real one? I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, I can't touch it. I can't feel it. I'd have to compare it to one I have.
But do you like this idea of running sneakers on StockX and stuff reselling? Like,
I'd rather everybody be able to get the shoe. Like, it's tough for me. It is fun for us to get shoes that nobody has.
Sure.
Because we get them early.
Yeah.
And the geek part of me loves being in the front of the line.
Yes.
So, I won't lie about that. Like, you can't buy the Rebel V5 yet.
Yeah.
But
here we are.
A couple days from now, you will be.
Yeah.
But there is a part of me that's like enjoys the scarcity thing.
Yes.
But for our audience, I hate it because the Evo SL was so good that I was trying to tell people, hey, this is great. And people at that time, we went on a trip to Germany with Adidas, and they're like, oh, you're just saying this because you went to Berlin. I'm like, no, this is
a good shoe.
It's a good shoe.
Trust us.
Trust me when you get to wear it. But because people couldn't get it, there was like frustration and anger. And I really do. The goal behind what we're doing eventually is to make running more enjoyable for people. I happen to enjoy the culture side of it and the style side of it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to what our mission is, it's more getting people to enjoy the sport more.
Yeah.
And I would have liked that shoe in particular to have had maybe a broader release, but
because it increases the overall level of enjoyment.
Yeah, like everybody who tries that shoe, they're just, hey, this shoe works. It feels good. It's got the right thing. And knowing that, like so we have a couple of run clubs in Baltimore, and I can tell what's really hitting and what's getting word of mouth because you'll come to one run, and that sneaker will start showing up, and then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later,
people,
just everybody's in that same shoe. And I think that price point for that shoe also helps.
Yeah, what is the Evo SL?
150.
150, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good shoe.
Which having something like the tech in it of the Light Strike Pro, which you've only seen in race day and, blended with like the Boston at a certain point, but having it come into like a shoe that is at a price point most people can afford.
Yeah.
And
the thing I like about those shoes too, and I feel the same way about the Pegasus Premium, and I've said it a few times on other platforms, but it's like they fill this really nice role for me of like when I'm traveling, I can bring one less pair of shoes because like it's not a sneaker that I feel like I can only wear to run in. And like I've posted imagery of myself in the Adidas Evo SL, and people are like, you're wearing those regularly? And I'm like, don't worry, I ran, these have 250 miles in them at least, but I just like having a shoe where I can bring it on a trip and I can run in it, but also I can wear it as a regular sneaker and it doesn't take up the space in my rotation nor in my suitcase that I would need for a different pair of shoes.
That's exactly it. And I think, I don't know how much traveling you're doing, but you're probably doing as much as we are because, we're seeing
I'm a Delta Diamond Medallion member.
Really?
If you're asking.
I have to look. I think I'm only like
You didn't ask.
I think I'm only a silver right now. But we're
We
switching.
might be able to throw you a medallion.
I would love that because we're switched from Southwest.
Okay.
I don't know what they're doing now.
Yeah, because we're in the Northeast. That's literally the opposite.
Yeah. Anyway, so travel is huge important, and it is carrying shoes is one of the worst things to have to pack because they weigh a lot, and if you go on a trip and you're gonna get one wear out of a pair of shoes, it's not worth it. But you're absolutely right. That's a perfect shoe for like travel, wear, run.
And the Pegasus Premium is one of those for me too. Again, I know it's not the most serious running shoe, but it's like, I'll spend an hour.
Do you enjoy running in it?
Yeah, I do.
I think it has great cushioning.
Yeah.
It's not going to be your fastest shoe. It is on the heavier side. But I do, like, we did a Nike demo at our office where people could do both they could try the Premium and they could try the Vomero 18.
Nice.
Vomero 18, just a like cushy kind of lift anything. And there were some people who came back and liked it, but there was a lot of people, and I don't know if it's because of groupthink, but I think the Premium just looks too close to like an Air Max or something.
Yeah.
That true runners are like, it can't be. They're not willing to accept that it's a running shoe.
Yeah, which is funny because I think there's an inverse thing that happens with more casual runners where they're like, oh, Air Max Air Bubble equals running shoe. I should be running in these. And for at least a decade, and maybe it's cooled off now, but people were running in all the wrong Nike shoes specifically because they thought that whatever the latest Air Max 2013 Flyknit was actually a shoe that they should be running in. And Nike never told them it wasn't. But
that happens a lot with new runners. You see them come up and they go to a Foot Locker or Dick's.
Yep.
And they're like, it looks like a running shoe.
Cool. Good enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're buying it also on the thing that we talked about earlier, the looks.
Sure.
So if we can blend those together.
Yeah, maybe that's my fault.
That'd be great. Do you go to like the running event or anything like that? Like, are you
those running specialty things are not always super fruitful for us because it's just like, again, I'm a runner. I run a lot, and it's important to me, and I blend that into my work a bit. But also, I have to be aware of where the line is of like, this is something I enjoy versus this is something our audience is into.
And that is tough because I know that from experience obviously when we post running shoes, they do really well.
Right.
If I post a lifestyle shoe, not as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that they're coming together.
For sure.
That would be my thing. But it's interesting because we've already seen, the reason I asked you when the running event was the Vomero Premium.
Yep.
So if people are having difficulty with this one, that one's going to blow their mind.
Yeah. Have you worn a pair yet? I actually haven't worn it.
I haven't worn the Vomero Premium.
Right.
I haven't even gotten the Plus yet.
Okay.
So I think we're getting that soon. What do you think about them doing the reverse Nike swoosh on it?
It's fine. I mean, people who follow our stuff will think it's a Travis Scott shoe, I guess.
Yeah. Cactus Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think this is a really interesting time for running and kind of coming up into the lifestyle and the fashion stuff. I've always seen Complex, and I always thought of it as kind of tastemakers for like streetwear, everything like that. So it'll be interesting. Do you think you guys will start to blend more and more running in if it becomes?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's room for it, but again, with the parameter of like, is it just me who cares about this, or do people actually care about this? But I think people do care about it now more than ever, so I think there's more room for it.
All right. Well, cool. As we're wrapping up, is there anything that you want to cover that we didn't cover?
I mean, I could give you another 15 minutes on these.
You got just
community,
just some ASMR chip eating
here. No. This was a real pleasure. I mean, the running part of my life is not like totally always overlapping with the sneakers part of my life, and I'm happy when it does a little bit more. So it was a real pleasure.
Do you have an event coming up?
Like a race?
Yeah.
So Every summer I do Hood to Coast
Okay.
in Oregon, the mother of all relays.
I was gonna say, who's your relay team?
It's a team called Lady and the Gramps, and it's a handful of New York City running people from like Old Man Run Club, if you know that squad, and then some people who work at Nike. And yeah, we've been doing it maybe this might be our like 4th or 5th consecutive year. And as we mentioned earlier, I'm originally from out there, so I love that race. It's very very communal, very bond-inducing, and it actually ends at the coast near where I was born.
Is that the coast in Hood to Coast?
Yeah, that very same coast. Yeah, so it's always an emotional. I mean, races are always emotional for me, but that one particularly. So that's the next thing on the calendar.
Any marathons this year?
I hope to run Berlin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would like to do like a vengeance.
Are we going for the 6 stars?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
Might as well.
I was gonna do. Did I tell you about this? I was gonna do London the week after Boston.
Oh, okay.
But I decided against.
We
it.
were there. You probably made a good choice.
You think so?
Only,
5 days,
I mean,
6
I
days
love
later?
London. I think I think that's tough, but the weather was warm.
You know what? Sorry, I'm enjoying my chips.
No, yeah. Make sure, Spotify people, please make sure you get every
Yeah.
crunch.
Just wait until we get into the yogurt parfaits. But
Oh,
people kept saying London was hot, but I was looking at it didn't look that hot. Did you run it?
I did.
Okay. Tell
It-
me how hot it was.
it was-
Because like it's fucking Northern Europe.
Yeah. It was like 70 at the start.
Okay.
I don't know if it could have been 69 or something
Mm-hmm.
when we started, but it was like in the 70s. And there's not a lot of coverage.
Okay.
Or,
So you're
or
out in the
shade.
sun.
So you're out in the sun, and it was humid.
Okay.
So
Which is weird because
I
it's not
know.
a place that I think of as ever being humid. So that was one of the things where people kept saying, "Yeah, it's hot, it's hot." I was like, "What are you like?" I've been to London many times.
Yeah, people got destroyed. I felt like I managed the effort well.
Did you do what you wanted to do?
No, like for what I trained for.
Yeah.
No, I it's probably about 20 minutes
Okay.
off of
What was the
I
goal?
trained for. I think I wanted to be around 3:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 3:30 to 3.
You were inspired by my New York performance.
Yeah, I was. I was like, wow, that was amazing. Just I'll do that backwards.
Yeah.
The speed up as I go. No, so when I train for, I would say anywhere between something with a 3 in front of the minutes
Yeah.
to something with a 4 in front
Sure.
of the minutes. Ended up being 3:56, but I was really happy with knowing that how I run in the heat.
Yeah.
I do horrible in the heat, and every time I run New York, it's been warm and
Okay.
just had a miserable day. But knowing that, like, I went out there, I didn't get in my head. I was just like, today I'm just going to take it easy.
Yeah.
Just try to dial into 840 and just hold 840 for the whole time.
Okay.
And just kind of cruised it out. And mentally, I don't think I've ever had a race that I was able to stay as positive under the circumstances.
Yeah.
So I had a good day,
Okay. Good.
regardless of. The only other thing that kind of, I'm used to like running with people.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I was like by myself the whole time. I met a woman who I think is from Brooklyn.
Okay. Do they have
and
pace groups in London?
I think they do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
But you didn't end up.
No, because I don't know if there's like an 840 pace group. I'm sure there is.
Right.
But I was just like, okay, this is where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
And went off. But yeah, so it was a challenging day. Like for example, my wife Megan, she's normally her PR is 2:45,
Okay.
I think. I always get the minute wrong, but and she
240 is the important part.
and she ran like a 3:08
Okay.
in London, and I kind of felt like that was the equivalent to like, okay,
Yeah.
so take that time,
Right.
subtract that.
I see the math. Yeah.
Math is mathin'.
Yeah.
So we did that. So yeah, it worked out, but definitely was it's sometimes a little disappointing because you train so hard, and this is why I try to get people not to concentrate just on the one day, because you spend all that time training, and training is awesome. Like you go out with your was it Tony?
Yeah.
And Dumbo,
Monday
and
nights,
you do the hills and stuff, and you're spending all that time with people and like doing your training, even if they're not running the event, and it's months, and then you get to the day and you determine whether or not you had success by how many minutes were on the clock.
Yeah.
So for you, if you had taken 10 minutes off your time in Boston, you would have been like, yeah, this was great.
Yeah.
But instead, you're like, meh.
Yeah.
So it's like that. I'm trying to, as I run more, I'm like, it's not, you could have a good day and that doesn't, validate your training. You could have a bad day and it doesn't validate your training. It's how you handle the whole block. So, because like you're going to have bad runs.
I've certainly had a few of them.
Yeah. I guess if you do it long enough, you're going to.
Yeah.
Gonna do it.
Yeah.
I don't know where we were going before that, but that's my London story. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I can't believe this studio. Like, this is sick.
Yeah. There's a ping pong table outside.
Ping pong table, free beverages, free food, a view to kill for.
Yeah.
Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you told me that you don't like doing computer
I felt like
interviews.
a diva. You guys were asking me to be on the show, and I'm like, yeah, but I would love to not do the remote recording because it's just like staring into a screen for that long.
Yeah.
Even though I do it for 8 hours a day on my phone.
Well, what's brilliant about this is I got off the message with you and I said to Meg, I was like, hey, the Spotify, they said we're partners now. Can we go up and use space up there? She's like, let me check. Message. They're like, yeah, we've got a studio for you. And I'm like, this is cool. So you are probably...
So we cracked the code.
You're number one.
Okay.
Of probably what will become, I'm hoping, will become something that we do more regularly.
Beautiful.
I'd love it. You mentioned Robbie and them. Like, if we can, it's 2-hour train ride from Baltimore.
Come on, Robbie.
You pop in.
Megan, where are you?
Up. Yeah, exactly.
People want to know.
Carl.
No.
Not
no,
Carl.
I got beef
Oh,
with
that's
Carl.
true. Hey, roll that beautiful footage right
I
now.
got beef with Carl, but that's for the next episode.
All right, Carl, you're gonna have to.
I thought you guys were gonna fire him after.
No, Carl's doing great.
The way he put me on blast.
It was embarrassing that he did put butter on the bottom of your shoes. So what you're listening to here is you went out to do the Evo 2 launch.
Yeah.
In London. Which was a couple days
after
London.
Boston.
Yeah. So you could have just stayed and done London.
I had a bib.
Oh,
Somebody else's bib, but
yeah,
it was to become my bib.
Okay.
Abbott's not listening, right?
That can get dangerous. Ask Matt Choi.
I didn't do it again. I didn't do it.
Ask Matt Choi about that. So you guys went down to a tunnel,
right?
And you went to do like a mini 2-lane race.
Yeah.
And you did kind of like a Scooby-Doo, like where your legs spin.
Well, the funny thing is, there are many funny things. But so the Evo 2, how much have you run in the Evo 1?
I've run in both of them.
Okay. Did you find that the Evo 1 was a slippery shoe?
If there's water on the road,
you're done.
Yeah. Like I ran a half marathon and it was raining and I hit the crosswalk white area. And I
Mario Kart oil slick, like you were gone, banana peel.
And to a certain degree, Meg has said, and I think Robbie feels the same way, that the grip on the 2 has gotten even worse.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm glad to have other people say that. So, the Evo 1, no traction at all. I think I went on one of my last Boston training runs in that shoe, and it was a rainy day in New York, and I was quite nervous about. I really had to slow it down in certain sections because I was like, I'm going to slip.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that they told us at the launch event for the Evo 2 was, look, we've put this siping or however I forget exactly the word they use, but a little bit of extra traction on the bottom where they cut out some of that liquid rubber section and they have these waves.
There's some wavies.
Yeah, and it's like supposed to be a little bit grippier, right? So, yeah, then we went to the trial event and it's Carl and I lined up against each other. And I came off the blocks, and hopefully you can put the footage in here. But
I'll talk to Carl about it. He'd probably love to do it.
I didn't fall immediately. I kind of like fell onto all fours and was trying to put it back together, and everybody was watching, and it was extremely embarrassing. And I was just like crawling for a couple steps, and then finally got back up. There was sand. We were underground. There was like all the sediment on the track and stuff. Like I wasn't the only person who. Yeah.
Like you got to set the scene.
Yeah.
So they run them down to this dark tunnel.
Yeah.
That's
I felt like
right?
there was about to be a rave or something.
There's lights.
Yeah.
There's a little fast track. They tell you you got to stop real quick because you'll run into the wall. If you keep going.
Maybe. Actually, I don't know how many meters it was.
Yeah.
Let me not pretend.
So it's like. Think of a rave situation, But then you're called up and in front of everyone.
Yeah, on the big screen, on the Jumbotron.
You've got to do, put a full effort out.
Yeah.
So you get up, you line up.
Carl and I.
Is the adrenaline pumping?
Yeah, I was nervous.
Yeah, I would be.
And then they fired a gun, and I immediately fell down. I immediately fell over. There was not enough traction. I told the designer immediately afterwards, I got to add more grip, more traction to this Adidas Evo 2 Pro because wasn't enough for me. So I fell over, tried to put the race back together after that, and I have
to say, from the footage, hopefully people are watching, you threw down. Like, I was like, is this adrenaline from embarrassment? Because like your
certainly
wheels,
some of that.
Your
certainly
wheels,
some of that.
I had never seen someone run so
I thought
fast.
I was going to catch Carl.
It looked. I mean, you said if there was 10 more feet.
Let's say 10 more yards.
10 more yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you look like you were flying. I was like, that guy's got some wheels.
Thank you. Yeah, and also, among all the takeaways, and there are many. They did do a still photo of each of us when we were running, and in the photo I look fast, so that's like that's the most important thing.
Did they get any photos of you on the ground?
Thankfully, no. Okay. They spared me that.
Oh, geez. All right. Well, maybe that's a good place to end this. Enjoy the footage. Brendan, this was amazing.
Thanks
for opening us up to this opportunity. And like I said, this is great now that we know this is here. Maybe tell your friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll do some more of these, but this was awesome.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it.
Give a good stretch, got my laces tied. My trusty